because it was a female retreat. There was so many different girls there. And we end up doing like this boss talk, maybe like on the second or third day. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the conversations were interesting. And it felt like a lot of the things we talk about. So when they asked, one of the questions were like, how is it for some reason we tend to have this question a lot, and I feel like it's a little bit tiring, and it's just like having this notion of can it be more than just one? Mm-hmm. And at this point, you know, maybe it was 10, 15 years ago when we were asking this question, I feel like, okay, let's have an answer for it. But the place that we're in now, we see all the different success. We see people moving in a certain way. And I like to tell people, like, listen, this is not something that like we made up or we chose to do. Mm-hmm. This was society teaching us this very early. I'm talking about television shows to music to advertising. Think back when it was you had to pick Little Kim or Foxy Brown.
I know. I hate that narrative now. It's like you can't even like 2 female rap artists, but you can like 10 male rap artists. But you can only like one. It's only can be like one female artist, and everybody's supposed to hate the other person.
But it's years of society teaching us this in so many different ways. So from music, think about television shows, right? Mm-hmm. Like I loved Tia and Tamara growing up, right? Mm-hmm. Now, how did that show go? One was smart, mm-hmm. one was dumb. Like now think of a show with guys, it's jocks. They can be a group of them. But when it comes to women, and think of Mean Girls, it's one follower, one this, one that. It can only be one lead. And that's how they always treat women. Even in the beauty standard, now they're trying to like lightly change it. But even when it comes to like us, they'll find, okay, now, you know, certain companies start to realize dark skin is pretty. They'll use one dark-skinned girl for every commercial. Mm-hmm. And it just gets to that point of that narrative that I hate. And that's why I love that we have this moment and we have this podcast, because we like to change that narrative. You can sit with us, and it realistically, I like to tell people, and with this young lady, I'm like, it really starts with you. When you walk into a room, do you address the other female? Are you creating an opportunity for her? Mm-hmm. Are you leaving room at the table for her? Are you making her feel welcomed? Like, what are you doing to help change the narrative? And I think that's the questions we need to start asking ourselves.
And that's what I kind of like tell people. And they're like, you know, like, what can I do? What can I do? I'm like, start networking with your peers. Like, okay, it's cool to like network with like somebody like me or somebody like you. But I'm telling you, like, networking with your peers, you just never know, you know, what you guys can accomplish together. Because most of the time I'll have A and you'll have B. Yeah. Right. And we can make C together. So I'm like, it's just very, very important to like network with the people who are near you. Like when you go to these brunches and to these women talks and to these retreats, mm-hmm. yeah, it's cool to like come network with me, but also network with the other individuals that's there, because they are also like-minded individuals. And that is so important. Like within our community is to network with like-minded individuals, and not with just like the big influencers, yeah, or the big celebrities. It's just like, you know, like, because I was once at a networking event with all of this knowledge and all of this information and skill, and I was sitting right next to, you know, 6 or 7 other people, and that's kind of like how I built my network. I would get everybody. I needed everybody contact. I tell everybody, get everybody contact. And even if you don't, I always tell girls, like, a trick for me that how I do with like people, mm-hmm. I don't bug them. Like, say I get your contact, I'll just send you like every once a quarter, like just a refresher email, something positive. Hey, mm-hmm. checking in on you, sending you some love and light. I hope, you know, the quarter was good. You know what I mean? If you're ever in town, let's catch up, have lunch or something.
You know who said something a while ago, and that sits with me, and it's on the notion of what you said. Issa Rae said, stop worrying about networking up, mm-hmm. network across. So when I'm at these engagements, I say, look, I understand you're here to see me. You're happy. We're here to take the photo, and you're excited to learn from the people on stage. But you can learn from one another. Look to your left and look to your right, because I started like it used to be this thing in New York called Girl on the Move. And I used to constantly go to meet new women, to like, I wasn't even just worried about the women on stage. It was the women, like you said, who were in the audience, who were trying to grow their business and scale it. And I felt like we could co-produce and work together. So that was one of the things is, you know, it can only be one success story. And I'm like, that's not true. All of my friends are successful in their own way. I say that
all the time. Like, all of my friends are like successful. Like,
and it's great. And it's so amazing.
And it's like we start, and the best thing about it is, and I'm like, you know, like I do like work sessions or like think tanks where we all just come and we do brain dumps. Like, hey, this is what I learned about MailChimp. This is what I learned about Klaviyo. This is the new text messaging app that I'm using. This is how you export, import this information cheaper. And it's just so crazy how like little bitty gems and tools that made mean nothing to me take your business to the next session. So I just tell people, like, it's so important to network across.
And the most important thing, like you said, is sharing information is vital. It's not going to stop your business. It's not going to minimize it. It's not going to dim your light. Like, we talk all the time. I be like, Ming, you'll send me something. You'll be like, are you using so-and-so? I be like, Ming, you should add this. We should do this. And even other people I have conversations with, like, you should add to this. You should add to that. XYZ, like, hey, I have this opportunity. I added you for this too. Because it's not going to dim my light. If we have an opportunity, we always talk about, people like, I want to be invited to the table. Okay, it's not just being invited to the table. You cannot just take up a seat.
Right.
It's bigger than that. How about we reconstruct this table? How about we actually provide information and things that are utilized to help other people get to this table? Because a lot of the times people are like, oh, I want a seat at the table. And I'm like, okay, what do you bring to it? You're just taking up a seat for the next person.